Hey, folks, welcome back to Manor Road Studio, home of the Alive podcast. My name is Dale. It's a wonderful day to be here. Let me get the screen looking better. Let me go ahead and ask you right now to please subscribe somewhere right in here. And if you can, give me a thumbs up. Love to have a comment. As I always say, on my wall over to my left, it says Alive all over the wall. You can see Manor Road Studio behind me. The Live stands for Authentic Love, Imagination, Victor, and Evolve, something we try to talk about a little bit on every single podcast. Over here, it says, when you feel like quitting, remember why you started. I feel like I've got a really good message for you today, and I hope it's something you'll take to heart. Several years ago, I read a book about a gentleman named Bill Porter. Bill Porter was from Portland, Oregon. He was born with cerebral palsy. He had limited use of one hand. He talked with a strange slur, a pretty good effort, uh, but he didn't want to be disabled. He didn't want to be defined by his disability. He wanted to be a working class person, just like everybody else, earn his way. He basically went to Watkins, who, as a lot of you know, at the time sold door to door spices and other kitchen supplies and so forth. Reluctantly, they gave him a job. And he asked them, he said, give me the worst route in Portland you've got, and I promise you I'll make it work. So they did. It was a 7 mile route that Bill Porter walked. He walked his route on a daily basis. And as you can imagine, for the first several months, he had doors closed in his face. Nobody talked to him. Nobody gave him the time of day. But his mother always instilled in him two things: patience and perseverance. Patience and perseverance. And he always remembered that. And every day when he'd eat his lunch, his mother would put something in his lunchbox that always reminded him of patience and perseverance. Well, as time went by, people started warming up to Bill Porter. And his orders started coming in. And after 24 years with Watkins, he became the highest grossing salesperson of the year. And he had a career that spanned 40 years with Watkins. The man never drove a car. He did everything on foot. And he hand typed all of his orders on an old fashioned typewriter with one finger. Literally, it took him 10 to 12 hours every day to do his orders and so forth. But people trusted Bill Porter. He had patience, he had perseverance, but more than anything, he had a caring, loving disposition about him that just kind of made you melt and warm up. Now, I got another story for you. Several years ago, when I was a kid, we went to a petting zoo. And at the zoo was an elephant. Well, naturally, as a kid, an elephant is this huge mammoth of an animal. And it didn't make sense to me at the time, but I noticed that the elephant was secured only by a small stake in the ground and a rope tied around its leg. And again, at the time, that meant nothing to me. Many years later, as I enjoyed studying psychological things and all that, I actually looked up the elephant and how it's secured by a rope that it could easily break. Well, trainers take an elephant when they're very young in captivity, and they put a stake in the ground and they tie a rope around its leg, a rope that as an infant, the elephant can't break free from. And as the elephant grows up, it's conditioned to believe that it can't break free from the rope that binds it. When the truth is, with just a small tug, it could yank the spike and the rope out of the ground. But the elephant doesn't believe that it can do that. I say all that to say this: what is really holding you back? What has defined you? What are you conditioned to believe? To believe so much that it's had a negative impact on your life, or it's going to put you in a stalemate position to where you can't go forward and you can't live up to your potential. A lot of you that know me know that I would place religion in that box. And I think that religion has done a very, very good job in some cases of holding us captive to a doctrinal or dogmatic belief that we truly need to be set free from. Now, you did not hear me say, do not believe in God, do not believe in a higher power. Matter of fact, I don't ever say anything like that. But I also don't believe in an institution holding someone back from being the best that they can possibly be. And I looked at Bill Porter. He actually went to the disability office simply because it was his duty to do so, simply because of the condition that he had. Well, the lady at the disability office told him, you can easily get disability, yada, yada, yada. He goes, I don't want disability. I'm not disabled. I have a job with Watkins. I can work and make a living. And the lady kind of shrugged him off, but he refused to sign his benefits for disability. He was not going to be defined by a disease that so many others allow to cripple them into becoming something great. Bill Porter didn't do that. And I really encourage any one of you out there listening to this, if you've never read about Bill Porter, just key in Bill Porter Watkins rep and just read the Wikipedia about him, or go to YouTube and key in some of the interviews that he did. And you'll be simply amazed at what he accomplished with so little to work with. And the truth is, most of us have so much to work with, and we never use it. We're bound by something like the elephant that we can so easily break free from. I often wonder when I look around, look at others, look at myself, and the old saying, hindsight is 20/20. And I think, why did I let something in my past define me? Why did I let something in my past destroy some of my belief in mankind? Why didn't I use every single thing that I've experienced and that's happened to me to elevate me to a higher place in life? I'm talking as though I didn't do that. But the truth is, over the last few years battling cancer, I feel like I've done exactly that. I've allowed to let go of all the things that held me back. And at this point, I want to show you a rock that I always have with me. It's called my Hope Rock. You can see hope written on it right there. And I think that hope anchors the soul. I think without hope in our lives, we don't have much of anything. I realize the fragility of life, and I now know that we're not 10 foot tall and bulletproof. We are finite beings, and we get one shot at this and one shot only. And it's incumbent upon us to take that one shot and do every single thing we possibly can with it. I said in a podcast a couple of days ago that we could solve a whole lot of the issues in the world if we would just allow ourselves to come together. There's no reason to be defined by Democrats or Republicans, by Church of Christ or Baptists or Catholic, by atheists or believers. We don't have to have those definitive lines that separate us. We can have different views on life. We can have different belief systems and still come together and find wonderful, beautiful ways to make this place we live on much more habitable. We can end hunger if we so chose. We can end hatred if we so chose. The problem is we think that it's someone else's problem. Or the problem is we think that we have time. And the truth is, the sand in the hourglass is falling constantly. It never slows down and it never stops until the hourglass is empty. That's really something positive to reflect on. Become, like I say all the time, become part of the solution, not part of the problem. We've got to continually invite people to this podcast, to this table of love, and realize that when love quits being served, we need to back away from the table. Because we're not going to let bitterness or hatred divide us or define us any longer. Those days are gone. Now, let's say this to kind of surmise everything we've talked about. I love these podcasts. I love talking about topics that some folks don't want to discuss. This is totally raw, totally unedited. I mention that, I think, all the time. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back on YouTube at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Set your clock by it. And I invite you to come, invite others to come, be a part of it. Let's have a conversation. Let's get the ball started. I'm inviting you to my table right this minute. And whatever you feel like is holding you back in life, whatever has defined you to the point of you can't break free, let's talk about it. It'll no longer have power over you. We together will make a difference. All right, until then, give me a subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, friend me on Facebook, Dale Childress. Leave me a comment on Facebook and Messenger, wherever you want to. I'm easy to find. My email is dalechildress@icloud.com. So until tomorrow, let's keep living fully alive.